Hey, what's up everybody? It's Thursday morning here at the Oldbarn Homestead, and my name is Gary. For those that some of you just joining the channel, um, I know most people know who I am, but we got new people joining all the time. You know, a couple new subscribers a day. So welcome if you're new. I was gonna get a look at this for rooster. This thing turned out pretty cool, man. Finally got the white done the other night behind that, and really made all the difference in the world. So it's just sitting on there now. I got to get it taped up with a double-sided tape, and you know, wherever there's a pretty fat area on the black, I'll put the tape. You know, these little borders here probably aren't going to be good spots, but like right there in the middle, I can put a lot. Right here on this little tab, I can put some. Up here on that inside piece, and that inside piece I can put some, and I'll put quite a bit on there so it'll stay together and look good. I got you a little mounting hole in the top right there, centered up. It should be should hang well and straight. This is what I'm working on. I just thought I'd bring you along. You know, this is kind of the crap I get into. I've got like 4 different projects going on kind of all at the same time. That's not really possible. You can only really do one thing at a time, but I got a package here for 4 Fields Furniture going out. Well, you can't see, I've started packing stuff up, but I've got his some tabs cut for him. I think I cut 110 of those, and then I've got these all cut out. I've got 100 of those, and I was getting ready to do the drilling and tapping on those, and I'll show you what I ran into on that. And then my Harbor Freight beautiful chair here, you know, keeps giving me grief. This thing that was tacked in there is broken loose, so the wheel won't stay on it. It's a little screw-in bung. I was showing this to Paul, who's already worked with me on one project, and so he was thinking about getting some of these gussets and had some questions. Eco Mouse Design, I got these cut out for him. And these are going to be pretty cool. They're going to be a beam hook clamp, and something he designed and came up with. And so we might offer those as a kit. We'll see how it works out for him. Let's see. Oh, on the drilling and tapping, I was going to use, oh, let me show you. Sorry about the camera movement. I'd open this up. I was going to give this a shot and use it. You know, the combo, Greenlee combo, and this actually, the package says it'll go into actually half inch plate. So I was going to use the mill, but this 18N Jacobs drill chuck that came with the mill has a lot of run out in it. You know, I mean, a tremendous amount of run out in it. And when you put a longer drill in there, you can just see the tip of it's just swirling around. Yeah. So I've got this, where is it? What did I do with it? Lambrick drill chuck over here. And this came with a Cat 40 style taper on it instead of the NNTP 40. And last time Texas Gun Guy was here, he made this adapter that screwed into the existing threads, because these are metric and this is 5/8 11 here. For the machine, this has a 5/8 11 drawbar, and I can't remember what the equivalent of it was, but it's a similar diameter in metric. It's a little bit smaller in there for the pulling lugs for a CNC machine. Like, let's see, this one should have one on it here. No, that's the old style. Yeah, here's one. No, I've already taken that one out somewhere or another. Yeah, that's the new style. Anyway, right there you can see those pulling lugs that a CNC machine uses. So when I tried to screw that up in there, it wouldn't go. So what I did today was I cut this off and drilled that hole all the way through, so that the drawbar, because the drawbar is pretty long on this thing and it needs to extend down in here, and with this adapter style on here, it's not going to let that go in there. So I got that done, and but it still wouldn't go in far enough. And what I realized was that the threads down in here are, the minor diameter on them was smaller than a 5/8 11, so when the drawbar would get in there, it was just hitting those threads and bottoming out. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just chuck it up in the lathe here. I don't need anything fancy, you know, I'll just get the drawbar going here and bore out those threads down in there. Man, I'll tell you what, I mean, I've messed around with a few hardened things before, but talking about some hard stuff, this right here was super hard. So I went ahead and annealed it, and I'll overlay, I threw my leather welding apron thing on it, which I never use, to, you know, slow down the cooling on it, and let it set overnight and cool off. So this morning it was machinable. I was able, it was still really hard, you know, some blue stringy chips coming out of it. I don't know if there's any around or not. There wasn't much that needed to come out, but you can see some of them right there. It was still pretty hard. And by the way, there's my chuck key and its chuck key holder. So anyway, I got that done. I was able to get this tacked on there, run a tap through, you know, and get way down in here, and no problem with that. But I still couldn't get this thing, it wouldn't go in there. And I was like, why is it not going? And so then I milled a slot right here because it was just slightly, I think this is 170 thousandths on this one across the inside here, and this one had a step on it, and so I just milled that out a little bit to give it some clearance, and then it still wouldn't go. You know, it would get up in there a little ways and just bind up. One time I got it bound up and I didn't think I was going to be able to get it out. I had to actually take a piece of 1/4 inch plate and grind a little wedge on it and bang it in there with this big hammer to unseat it. It had gotten bound up in there, and I only had one tack on it that time. I got 4 on it now. You can see I'll tell you why those welds are turned down, what that's about. But I was afraid it was going to break off in there, those tacks, and then I'd be screwed. The threads would, you know, this boss would be up on the end of the drawbar and I wouldn't be able to get it out. But I was able to get it out, and so I thought, well, maybe it's still bottoming out, so I ran a tap down in there, and then while I had this held in a vise, I was, you know, really ratcheting down with a tap because it was struggling, and I broke the 2 tacks I had on it broke off. It's like, dang. Now I got plenty of thread clearance. I got it, the inside of it turned down, and I used a little piece of threaded rod here and went down that far, and it only really needs to go down 1 inch, but that bar will go in there 2 inches. Still wouldn't go. So then I was like, it looked like it was hitting on the taper down here, so I took a couple of measurements. You know, even though it's tapered, it's a little bit hard to measure, and it's within 1/1000th of what this one is, you know, and I could be off on where I actually measured it at. So then I put, and I don't know why, but I put some you know, red Sharpie marker, just a stripe all the way down it to see what was bonding on it. And why I didn't do that earlier, I don't know, but it was bonding up here on this. So then I chucked it up in the lathe, and this aluminum is for another project. I'll show you that in a minute. I chucked it up in the lathe and put the live center in and turned it between centers, and turn that down on the lathe a little bit right there. And finally it'll go up in there. What a pain in the butt, but you'll see. What it would do before is it would get up to about right in here, and it would just stop. And you know, and you could turn it, but it was really hard to turn, and I knew something wasn't right with it. But it should be kind of loose right in here, and you should be able to push that up in there like that and get it up on the drive dogs and turn it the rest of the way. Whoops, I had you off camera there. See, it's still loose even though it's being driven. Yeah, it's getting kind of tight now. I don't know where it's binding at, but it still may be binding on the top. But anyway, I really want to use this this smaller chuck, one, because it'll be not have so much run out in it, and I didn't want to drill and tap with this with it running out so much. And the reason I want to use this mill over here doesn't have hardly any run out in it at all. But again, it's the chuck, not the spindle. I think the spindle's good on it, although I could check it here, but I haven't checked it to see what the run out is. But anyway, I've been wanting this, finished up and in here for a long time, so I could, not have the run out, because if you want to use this and you got run out, you're going to put a lot of stresses on it, and it's just going to not do a good job, and I need to do 100 of them. So the reason I wanted to use this one is it has a spindle brake. So, like, if I have it running and I just shut it off, or you can actually go from left to right in one motion, and it will instantly stop and reverse the motor. This one over here doesn't have any kind of brake on it. When you turn it off, it's still just, centrifugal forces running on it. The mass of those pulleys, it'll just, you can't accurately stop it. So, but I wanted to try that method, and then I've got the tapping head that Weld It Fab 1, I think is his channel name. I always get him confused. I've got it sitting back here behind the mill. I just haven't gotten around to getting it on there because you have to do a little setup with it, and it's got to have, I don't know exactly how it works. I need to check into it a little bit more, but you need a bar on here to mount somewhere that keeps keeps part of it from turning. But I was gonna use the tapping head and do some of them on that, and check this one out over here and see, just kind of test it and see which one of them works better. Which do I break any taps? Because using this thing is a single operation, drill, tap in one motion. And I was going to try to run it at about maybe 500 RPMs, which is too much for a tap and not enough for a drill bit, but maybe a happy medium. And it would work okay. So anyway, guys, that's the kind of stuff I get into. All I want to do is use this. All I need to do is fill an order so I can, help Adam out there and make a little money for the shop. But, I just end up screwing around with stuff like this. So I thought that was going to go in there, but it's still binding up. I'll have to check it out and see what it's binding on, and maybe turn it on the lathe a little bit more. I only took about 20 thousandths off of it. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get this uploaded.